Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new then welcome. My name is Christina, and on my channel we talk all things beauty from my own experiences. And today we are going to be doing some updated reviews on some viral makeup. These are some makeup products that have been pretty talked about the last couple of months ever since their respective launches. You may have seen me talk about most of these products. I'm pretty sure I've mentioned or shown demos of all of these products, like either here on my YouTube channel, on my Instagram, or my TikTok. And I just want to bring you guys some updated information on my experience with all of them. I feel like this is really important, especially after doing a first impression with products, because you never fully get a grasp of how a product works and the different ways that you can use something until you have used that thing a couple more times, or a handful of times. And I think that's really important information, especially if you've been on the fence about purchasing a specific product and you're feeling a little bit of decision fatigue after seeing impression after impression after impression. At least for me, I find that it's really helpful to see updates on whether or not something is working better or worse or just differently than it originally did. So that's what we're going to be doing today. As always, I'm going to be linking all the products down below for you guys so you can easily shop it, as well as in the YouTube shopping tab right here. Of course, you're not obligated to use these links. They are affiliate links, so I do earn a little bit of a commission. So if you do shop through them, I really appreciate it. It really helps me out because this is my full-time job. And before we begin, I wanted to talk a little bit about the sponsor of this video today, which is Zip Beauty. As you guys know, I am in my 30s now, so I have started to really pay attention to how my skin and my face is starting to change. I started off with the original, and then they sent the Zip Halo I think a couple months back. And if you're not familiar with the Zip Halo, it's actually a microcurrent device and a nanocurrent device, which is something that we haven't seen thus far in the microcurrent device industry. So as you guys are probably familiar with microcurrent, it targets the face on a muscular level. So it focuses on tightening the skin by tightening the muscles. It helps with dynamic wrinkles and stuff like that. So that's mainly what microcurrent is. But what nanocurrent does is it actually syncs the electrical impulses that are sent from your brain to your skin to basically repair your skin and regenerate the cells. It encourages collagen production and just overall cell regeneration, and you can barely feel nanocurrents because, like I said, it syncs with the electrical impulses in your skin and the wavelengths and stuff. Microcurrent, I would say, is the immediate result that you see, the more tight and lifted look, and then nanocurrent is something that you see over time. Zip actually has an app where they feature 7 full facials and 6 targeted treatments, and they also have 3 treatment plans. And what I did was the 30-day treatment plan, and it's a mixture of different treatments and different facials that you can do, and it's in the span of 30 days. It's not every single day. There are definitely days where there's nothing, you don't have to do anything, and for the most part I was using it, I want to say 3 to 5 times a week. I really like that the app outlines all of the different treatment plans, and it's really easy to follow. The plan that I decided to go with was the best skin of your life in 30 days. This is essentially a 30-day plan that's broken up into different treatments, and not every day you'll have treatments. And I would do my treatments every morning right when I woke up. I would go to the bathroom, do my treatments before doing any of my skincare. But my one gripe with the app is that for some reason it didn't seem to perfectly sync with the device. And what I mean by that is it would send the treatments to the device, and once I started using it, it does start the timer on the device once it hits the skin. But even then, when I was following the video of the treatments, my device would go faster than the treatments. Even if I waited 5-10 seconds to actually place it on the skin and the timer started, my treatments would finish at least 10-15 seconds before the actual video treatment, which was odd.
First vibration, there's the second.
Still have 14 seconds left. But once you do each treatment at least once, you know what's coming up, so it's no big deal. I was fine just doing it. It just meant that, you know, I went a little faster and I saved a little bit more time, to be honest. But the device worked perfectly fine other than that. I feel like for me, it really tightened my skin, and I noticed that whenever I took photos and stuff with my friends or just like selfies in general, the hollows of my cheeks were a lot more pronounced. I feel like I had a little bit more of a contour on my jaw, but mainly I saw the biggest difference in the hollows of my cheeks, and I was really excited about that, guys, because I do have quite a round face and I don't have very defined cheekbones. This is the microcurrent conductive gel that you're supposed to use, but I like this because the consistency of it is more like an oil and less like a gel, and because of that, it doesn't dry down on the skin as you're doing the treatments. I've had experience with other conductive gels where I have to continue to apply it on the skin and you end up using a lot of the product, whereas this I just do about, I want to say 5 to 8 pumps for my entire face and neck, and I can apply it all before I start my treatments. It stays slippery and it allows the zip to like glide on really easily. Throughout that whole 30-day treatment as well, I only had to charge this one time, and I'm actually taking a 2-week long trip in August with my husband, and I'm going to be packing this one over any other devices because it's just so compact and easy. I have the app on my phone. It'll be super easy to just use this every day. Each treatment, I think the longest one is like 10 minutes, but most of them are anywhere between 3 to like 5 minutes. I have really been enjoying my device, and actually doing the plan versus just like picking and choosing the different treatments has been really nice because I feel like I've seen the most consistent results with it. Hopefully you guys can see in the photos like all of my results. I documented every single day that I use the device, and I did before and afters of each one. You guys let me know what you think. I have definitely noticed a lift in my eyebrows because I have a lot more space like on my eyelids to work with when I'm like putting my makeup on. And like I said, I'm seeing the most change like within my lower half of my face because that's where I wanted to focus the most. I really like the contour that I'm seeing on my cheeks, and I'm slowly getting a little bit more definition on my jaw, which I'm really excited about. And also, I haven't gotten Botox in my forehead, I think in maybe 8 months or so, and I don't have any left in there. And this is like what my face looks like when I scrunch. That's pretty impressive. Like, the results don't lie. That is a tight forehead. I'll also be leaving my discount code in the description box down below. It is ZipChristina for 10% off of your purchase. And if you guys have any additional questions, let me know in the comments down below because I would be more than happy to talk with you guys a little bit more on any questions that you might have. First and foremost, we're going to be talking about probably the most viral foundation on the market the last couple of months. And to be quite honest, when I first saw it, I was kind of like, okay, a cushion foundation. But I kept seeing it and I kept seeing it, and I had finally tried it out for myself. And truly and honestly, guys, this is an incredible foundation. All like hype aside, I think that this is such a great foundation, especially if you're someone that has oily skin. If you're not familiar with this foundation, it's a cushion foundation from an Asian brand called TIRTIR, and it has the little puff right here, or applicator. I wouldn't really call this a puff. And you open up the little panel, and then right there is the cushion that is soaked with the foundation. I have this in multiple shades. TIRTIR was actually kind enough to gift me a bunch of different shades. I originally purchased it on my own, and then they saw my video on it, so then they sent me more shades to try out. And I'm somewhere in between 27N Camel and 29N Natural Beige. I feel like 29N is like my summer shade, and 27N is probably going to be like my fall and winter shade, but right now I'm kind of like mixing the two. But to talk about the actual formulation of these, like I said, I think that this is probably going to be better for those of us that have oily skin and maybe even just like normal balanced skin. I'm not quite sure how this would work for you if you have dry skin, just because this foundation does kind of dry down to more of a matte finish. I would call it a satin matte, just because I don't feel like this is fully matte. I feel like I still have a little bit of radiance to my skin when I apply this. It has incredible coverage. I want to say that this is like full coverage, at least for someone like me. I think that this is probably like the highest form of coverage that I would go. I usually lay between medium to full coverage. I never really do like crazy full matte coverage, you know what I mean? So this is like top tier for me when it comes to coverage. And I will say that I think a lot of people are having issues with this because one, you need to make sure that when you apply it, you use the cushion applicator. This is meant to be used with this applicator because it picks up the right amount of product on here versus like using something like a brush that's going to pick up way too much product, or a sponge which isn't going to pick up enough product and it's not going to apply this evenly to the skin. This was created for this. I know that we are so used to just like tossing these puffs that come with compacts, but I'm telling you guys, it makes all the difference if you use this. I have used this, I've used a sponge and a brush, and this will always give me the best looking coverage and complexion when I use this. And I also think it's super important, even if you have oily skin, to really hydrate the skin, especially if maybe you have some dry patches. For me personally, I use acne products every day. So my skin can tend to get a little bit dry in some areas that I'm focusing like my acne products in. So you need to make sure that you hydrate it, or else it might kind of like cling to those areas. But overall, I think that because this is more of a matte finish, that's kind of the nature of a foundation like that, you know what I mean? I think that I notice it more with this because most all of my other foundations are going to be a luminous or a radiant finish, or like a natural radiant finish. But when it comes to like any foundation that has more of a matte finish, I find that I have to hydrate my skin more. So I think a lot of people that have issues with this probably have a combination of issue because they're not using the right applicator and they're not properly hydrating their skin. So for me, this is still a hit. I reach for this all the time. I've traveled with this multiple times. I really enjoy this. It's pretty like no fail as long as I make sure that I'm using the applicator and I'm hydrating my skin. I love it. I also love that it's in this compact. It is quite large though, I will say. So it's not like it's saving space, but it's better than, you know, bringing like a glass bottle foundation with you whenever you're traveling. Next up, we have the Basma Cream blushes. They sent this to me, I want to say maybe 2 months or so ago. I can't remember at this point, but they sent me the shades Cherry Red and Burnt Orange. And when these first launched, I had my eyes on them because one, the foundation stick from Basma is incredible. It has great coverage and I was just really, really impressed by that. And it made me want to try more of their products. This is the shade Cherry Red. This is what I'm wearing on the cheeks right now. And then this is the shade Burnt Orange. This was the first one that I had tried. And I love these cream blush formulas. I think that they're quite different from a lot of cream blushes that are on the market currently. They do have a very, very nice dry down. So if you're someone that wants to experiment with cream blushes, but you don't necessarily like a cream blush that stays looking dewy, maybe you have oily skin and you find that a lot of cream blushes tend to like slip and slide. This, once it dries down, acts more like a liquid blush in the sense that it really does completely dry down and it doesn't leave any sort of balmy texture on the skin. And I really like that about these. I think that also in the compact, it looks very intimidating because let's be honest, these shades don't look like something that you would like slap onto the skin, you know what I mean? But when you apply this, and I like to apply this with a brush, they apply quite sheer and they're very, very buildable. And I really like that about this. I know that for a long time, a lot of us have had the idea that cream blushes are just crazy pigmented and you got to really work them to like blend them into the skin. But these, again, apply quite sheer in comparison to a lot of cream blushes, and they blend in really effortlessly. They give you a really nice sheer blend. And I find that I actually like going in with maybe 2 to 3 layers of this on the skin to get a finish like this. I will be showing you guys like the B-roll footage of me applying it so you can really see how this builds up onto the skin. I just love it. It really, really caught me by surprise. I'm not gonna lie. I was thinking that I would have to go in with like a tiny, tiny little pat of this and then apply it to the skin. But you can be fairly like generous with this, and it gives you the most beautiful color on the skin. I kind of like to go from one cheek, do a very light layer, and then go to the other side and do another light layer, because that allows the cream blush to start drying down on the opposite side before going in with more. And I find that that minimizes the amount of movement that happens under the blush. So like my concealer and my foundation actually stay in place as long as I'm like alternating between cheeks when I'm applying it. I really like this like slide packaging. I'm not sure how this affects like the longevity of the product. It does seem to completely seal though, so I can't imagine that this is going to dry out any faster than like a regular top cream blush, you know what I mean? I like this a lot. I think it's really fun to like slide. I fidget with this a lot whenever I'm using it. And the formula is really, really great. I highly recommend, and I really want to get my hands on the shade Mauve. I think that's going to be my next Basma purchase. Next up, we have the Armani Luminous Silk Cheek Tints. I have this one in 3 shades actually, and I did a little video showing me using another shade, the Intense Berry shade. I believe this is the Mauve, and then I also have the Coral Peachy shade. And these, I had no doubt were going to be beautiful. They are beautiful. I like this a lot. And it's actually one of the liquid blushes that I reach for the most since I've had it in my collection. So these are really nice because they have this like doe foot applicator, and it's not enormous and it doesn't deposit too much product onto the cheeks. This is one of the only liquid blushes that I feel comfortable putting directly on my cheeks and then blending it out, because a lot of the time when it comes to liquid blushes, I like to put it on the back of my hand, blend it with a brush, and then put it onto the cheeks, because I find that's how I get the most seamless blend. But this one, whether I put it on the back of my hand or I put it on my cheeks, either way, I'm going to get a really even seamless blend. It's not going to blend in streaky. It's not going to dry down before I have a chance to really blend it out with my brush. And that just kind of helps with ease of use. I know that some people don't like to do the extra step of putting it on the back of their hand, taking a brush, and then putting it on. They want something that they can just put on the cheeks right away. This, I would say, is pretty much foolproof. You can do that with this. I find that these are very, very pigmented, and I think that they're really buildable as well. I think that this gives you enough time to actually blend it into the skin before it starts to dry down, and the dry down on these, again, are so beautiful. It actually dries down really nicely, and I want to say that it looks matte, but at the same time, it kind of gives you like this, I don't know how to explain it. It almost looks a little satiny on the skin when it's completely dried. I guess silk. It looks a little silky, but I don't know. I feel like satin is a better descriptive word for that. A little bit of this does go a long way, so I would recommend just going in with like 2 dots, blending that in, and then going in with more if you find that you want more of this. But the dry down on this is just beautiful. It looks like an airbrush powder blush, you know, and I will say that they are quite overpriced. I don't know if I would have purchased all 3 of the shades that I have. My favorite has to be this one. I really, really enjoy the way that this looks. It just like brightens up the skin tone, and it seems pretty universal. But if you're looking for a shade that you want to use on your cheeks, your eyes, and your lips, I would recommend the shade Intense Berry. That one is so beautiful, but I really like these. I'm really enjoying them, but again, they're really, really expensive. So I would recommend just getting like 1 and then calling it a day. Next up is a product that I have talked about quite a bit on my channel, actually. It's the Fenty Beauty Blushlighter, Velour Blushlighter in the shade Juicy Peach. I talked about this when I first purchased it. I think I even mentioned it before I even got it, but this one, I like it, but I'm not like obsessed with it. Well, okay, let me explain. So I really like the glitter to pigment ratio on this. I think that it's beautiful. I don't think that it pulls too much like a blush or too much like a highlighter. I think it is the perfect mixture of the two. But my issue lies with the fact that this one, at least this one, but what I've seen from other creators, all 3 of them seem to have very, very strong gold glitter in them. It doesn't seem like this is going to be universally flattering, especially for those of you that have cooler undertones. I have a neutral one, and even then, I kind of feel like if I build this up too much, it starts to look kind of like orangey on the skin. But where I'm kind of like on the fence is if I use just a little bit of this, I blend it into the skin, it gives you such a juicy, like flush to the skin. It's a beautiful peachy shade, and the gold, if you put this on very lightly, it just makes your skin look like you're glowing from within. I think it's really, really beautiful. But if you do just the slightest amount too much of this product, then it starts looking a little bit orange, you know what I mean? So I feel like this shade is probably the only one that would really be flattering on my skin tone. I think the lighter one would just look, I don't know, too orange, and then the darker one might kind of look way too dark and a little bit like deeper orange on my skin, I guess. I don't know. I like it, but I don't love it, but I don't hate it. You know what I mean? Like I still reach for this because the formulation, like the actual formula of this being a baked blush lighter, is beautiful. It's soft, it's blendable, it's almost like creamy when you try to blend it into the skin. So it feels really great to put on the skin. It looks amazing if you put the exact right amount of this on the skin. So I don't know, I like it. I still reach for it. And I actually think that this is a really beautiful blush topper. So if you're going to wear a shade that's similar to this, maybe a little bit lighter than this, and then you top it with a light layer of this, it gives it a little bit more of like a dimension to your cheeks, you know? So I think even that is beautiful. You have a lot of variety with this, but I will say if you tend to have a heavy hand, just be warned, you may come out looking a little bit more gold than you anticipate. Now I want to talk about the kind of controversial Patrick Ta highlighters. These are the duo highlighters. I have the shade Daddy. This one I think is like supposed to be more of the champagne one, is it not? I went to Sephora and I had swatched all of them, and to be quite honest with you guys, I think that you probably only need one shade because these tend to be more on the sheer side. So unless you're really, really building this up for more of an editorial look, or maybe you just like really enjoy highlight, then I don't really think it's necessary to pick up more than one, especially being like $40. It's pretty pricey. If you break it up, you do get two separate products, but even then, I'm kind of like, this is an expensive product. It's not anything that is surprising though from Patrick Ta. It seems to be within their price point. But anyways, let's talk about the formula of these. This is a pretty polarizing product for a lot of people because in the pan, it looks like it's going to be like this soft sheer, which has been a trend with a lot of highlighters coming out recently. It's more of like a lit from within luminous sheen rather than being actual glitter. This is going to be actual glitter, like this powder. So do not get this highlight if you're not expecting actual glitter particles in your highlight, because you are going to get that with this. I don't know if it's just this one, the shade Daddy. Even though I said earlier there's not much of a difference, this one seems to have like multi-dimensional glitter sheen to it. So in some lights it pulls a little pink, in some lights it pulls a little orangey peach, and on the cheeks I'm a little bit like, I wish it didn't have so much dimension because it almost looks like too much to where it doesn't seem natural. But then again, I'm also like, well, it's glitter on the skin, so it's not going to look natural regardless. You know what I mean? And in this balm, you also have some glitter particles in the balm, and this is an actual balm. It's not a cream, it's not a liquid or anything like that. It stays quite balmy. It almost feels a little bit like Vaseline, and it stays like ever so slightly wet on the skin even after you like blend it out. So keep that in mind. If you do have more dry skin and you like a balmy texture like this may work for you. But if you are very oily and you need something that's going to dry down, I would not recommend this balm part, maybe just the powder. I feel like this would be a beautiful eyeshadow topper. I myself have not used it like that yet, but just looking at the actual texture and the finish of these, it seems like something that would work really really well as an eyeshadow. And even the balm, like if you've seen those wet glossy lids, this would be a very pretty like editorial type of product. I think all of this in general is very editorial. I don't know if this is something that is more for every day. I truly have only used this when I've sat down and I've filmed and I've played with makeup. I haven't ever like actually gone out and worn it yet, just because I don't have the confidence that I'm gonna love it, to be quite honest with you. I had really high hopes for this because I love the blush duos. I would say if you're looking for something like a cheek product from Patrick Ta, definitely go for the blush duos over the highlights, because those are far more impressive in my opinion. This is nice, but it's very niche. Like it's very much, if you're looking for glitter and if you're okay with like a balmy finish, then go for this. You might like it, but if none of those are your cup of tea, I would pass on this. The e.l.f. Soft Glam Satin Foundation, I have this in the shade 32 Medium Neutral. I have a whole video where I talk about this, and I think I did a wear test. I can't quite remember because this has been out for a hot minute, I will say, but I did want to touch on this because I feel like people are still talking about this foundation. This seems to be another one that people either love or they hate, and personally for me, I feel like I'm more on the side of like, I like it, but I'm not constantly reaching for it, and it's definitely personal preference, not because the product is bad. So for me, this does dry down more on the matte side for my preference. I do love a natural radiance, a luminous finish, and I'm actually wearing this today, and as you can see, there's still a good amount of like shine and like natural sheen to the skin, you know what I mean? So I like this if I use the correct technique, because if you want something that's a little bit more of like this hydrated, more natural finish, then you're gonna have to kind of work with this. Instead of just squeezing this directly on the skin and then blending it out that way, I like to take this on the back of my hand and I'll actually rub it in the back of my hand and just spread it onto the skin before I spread it with a brush, because that's going to give me the thinnest layer of product possible, and then I'll go in and kind of layer on top of it. But even then, I don't need a lot of this. I just need enough to like even out my skin tone, cover up most of my freckles and hyperpigmentation on my skin, and the dry down on this is really beautiful if you do it that way. I find that if I just like go in directly and I put too much product, it does become more matte and a little bit more cakey on my skin, and I don't like that. And I feel like throughout the day, as my oils like start to form on my skin, it starts to look a little bit more cakey and you can really see the foundation on top. But if I go in and I do the light layers and I apply it with my fingers and then a brush, I get a very natural finish throughout the day. And because this does have more of a matte finish, I find that my makeup stays on a really long time, pretty much the entirety of a full makeup day for me. So at first I was impressed by the coverage, but as I continued to wear it, I felt like, oh, like maybe this is a little bit heavy on my skin, and I started to experiment with different ways to put this on, and I went back to really liking the way the foundation looks. So if you have this, if you've had issues with it, maybe try a different technique and see how that works for you. But personally, I'm really excited that I found a way to make this work for me because it looks beautiful on the skin. It's at a great price point, and surprisingly, I like this color match a lot. Okay, the brand new Maybelline Lifter liners. These are impressive to me, you guys. I have been on kind of like a lip liner kick. I've loved lip liners for a long time. I use them pretty much every time I do a lip look, but it's been quite a while since I found a drugstore lip liner that I'm really impressed with. These are beautiful. I still have not figured out if I think that you sharpen these, right? Yeah, they seem like the type of products you sharpen, but they also kind of look like they're just plastic. I don't know. You guys let me know in the comments down below. I'm still a little confused. But I have two shades. I have the shade Big Lift and Let's Bounce. I really want the shade Player, but I haven't quite seen it just yet. I got these at Target. I haven't seen them in stores at Ulta, but they are online on Ulta. And I'm waiting until I can see Player in person before I purchase it. it, but these are super, super creamy, you guys. They glide onto the lips so smoothly. They're highly, highly pigmented. They don't skip on the lips. So if you don't like wooden lip liners because they maybe have a little bit too much tug or they seem to skip on your lips, this would be a good option for you because these are very, very creamy, but they dry down. Like they actually dry down fully and they do not budge. They stay on the lips for a long time. Even after like my lip color fades off, you can still see remnants of the lip liner on the lips. I will say because they dry down so quickly, I like to work in sections. So I'll line my upper lip and then I'll blend that a little bit and then I'll move on to another section. So I kind of like split it into four, you know? I can't do my whole upper lip and then blend it out because wherever I started, it'll be dry by the time I get to it. So you do have to work quite quickly with this, but I like that because it just means that it's going to stay on the lips for a long, long time. And I'm really, really impressed by these. I like both of these colors a lot. I'm impressed by the colors that they chose as well. I feel like a lot of them are very wearable and they're almost kind of like not natural shades, but they seem to be more of like a shadow type of lip liner versus being super bold lip liner like pinks and magentas and reds and stuff like a lot of the lip liners they have in their collection. I'm just really impressed by these. I definitely am going to be picking up more of them and I have been wearing these nonstop. Speaking of wearing something non-stop, these Fenty Gloss Sticks. I did a whole dedicated swatch video on the shades that I picked up, but the two that I have not been able to put down are the shades Sorta Selfish and Fenty Glow. These are beautiful. I really, really like this. And it's not because this is a new product. I'm including this because since that first impression video, I have worn these I'm pretty sure every day. So I feel like I have a good grasp on it. And I feel like it's important for me to talk about these because so many people are talking about them and just like hyping it up. And I know for me personally, if I see something launched and I just see rave reviews, I'm like, what's the catch? You know what I mean? So to break it down for you guys, I talk extensively about my first impression in that review video. So go watch that if you want to know more about these. But overall, for me, I feel like this is less like your typical gloss stick and more like an actual lipstick lip gloss combination. I know that sounds kind of like, what are you talking about? That's what a gloss stick is. But the texture of these, once you apply them on your lips, like yes, they have the same slip as a glossy stick, you know, but when you actually have it on your lips and you have it longer than say 20 minutes or 30 minutes on the lips, the glossiness to it feels more like your standard lip gloss where it's not tacky, but it does have a little bit of stick to it. And because of that, these last on the lips for a really long time. I actually celebrated my birthday recently and my husband and I went out to dinner together and I wore Sorta Selfish on the lips. And it actually lasted pretty much throughout the entire dinner. Granted, the center of my lips, like it did fade a little bit, but what faded was the finish, not like the actual color, you know? And I think because it does have a little bit more of that stickiness to it, that's the reason why it lasted much longer on the lips. I don't know if you guys noticed that. So whenever I use like a lip oil and I eat and drink, it does fade a lot faster than if I'm wearing like a lip gloss. Same thing with these. And I really like it. I find that they're not slippery on the lips. They definitely have like a hydrated like glide to them almost. And like I said, a little bit more of like a stickiness. But I don't find that they're overly hydrating and overly like slippery. So I like this because it gives you an option to wear a glossy lip for a lot longer than like other ones that are on the market. So I'm a big fan of these. I really, really like the shades that I picked up. I didn't purchase all of them because I didn't think all of them would look good on me. But the ones that I did pick, surprisingly, I really, really like all of them. So very high pigmentation, really beautiful. I just wanted to mention these again for you guys. And lastly, I want to bring up the Eadem Le Chouchou Lip Softening Balms. I pulled out two of the shades that I have been wearing all the time, the shades Fig Sauce and the shade Burnt Malai. I have a reel and a TikTok on all of the shades. They sent me all of the shades when they first launched. Oh, these are beautiful. I cannot express how much I like these. These are like my newest tinted lip balm obsession, you guys. So think of it as like the Naturium texture, but it has this metal applicator, which you guys, I love a metal applicator. I wish more companies came out with metal applicators when it came to lip products because they just feel so good on the lips. So this is going to be more of a thick lip balm texture, and I love a good thick lip balm, but the pigmentation on these are super even. It feels like they're very creamy. They glide on to the lips and they actually truly like nourish the lips. My lips actually feel more hydrated. I love it. It's not just for aesthetic. Like this actually leaves my lips more hydrated. I keep the clear one at my desk, so whenever I'm working, I just like reapply it whenever I need it. And these also have HAs in them, I believe. So they're not only hydrating and nourishing the lips, but they're also exfoliating like the dead skin on the lips. And I'm like, that's so genius. Why don't more brands do this? Because it makes so much sense. I just love these. I highly recommend that you pick up at least one of them because they're gorgeous. And I've only heard good things about this. Like everyone seems to be loving these and the hype is so real with this, you guys. I highly recommend these. I'm obsessed. I'm truly like over the moon obsessed with this. All right, you guys, that wraps up our updated reviews on viral makeup. I hope that this kind of like gave you guys more information and kind of like gave you something extra behind like all of the voices that are just like raving about these products. You know what I mean? I definitely get lost in all of that. I buy into all of that. I'm not gonna lie. I am so easily influenced. So if I see at least like 2, 3, 4 creators like raving about something, I'm gonna put it in the cart. You know what I mean? So just to kind of help you guys make a better buying decision when it comes to your makeup products, hopefully this helps you. I really enjoy doing these updated review videos. If there are any products that you want updated reviews on that I've spoken about in the past, let me know in the comments down below. I will try to get back to you guys as quickly as possible. But until then, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you found this helpful. And if you did, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more videos like this one. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.